Hi, folks, and welcome back to another episode of your Brains Coach podcast. My name is Shurina. I'm your host, I'm your Brains Coach, and it is my job here to bring to you all the cutting edge, recent, less known, but fascinating and very useful brain body tools so you could understand your brain better, make better use of it, make better decisions, all with the purpose to feel, look, and do your best. And not just do your best, but becoming as productive person as you possibly can be. And last week I was interviewed for the podcast, The Productive Woman. And as soon as it airs, I'm going to share it with you, at least part of it. And so on this podcast, I was asked, what is productivity for me and why does it matter? And I thought to myself, and I realized that productivity for me was never about just checking the boxes, crossing things off my to-do list, or doing the most possible things. I don't think anyone who's actually done some thinking about productivity, efficiency, and what is meaningful to them, I don't think people really want to just get things done as much as possible, be as busy as possible. I believe people want to accomplish meaningful things for them. And of course, we want to accomplish them as fast and as soon and as of good quality as possible. But if it's not meaningful, I don't think it matters. And that's what we're talking about on the podcast. And again, you're going to learn more about it. But productivity for me always meant to express as much of my talent, as much of my genius, as much of my uniqueness in this life as possible. And that's why I want to do more. And that's why on the weekends, I very often end up working a lot of times. And that's why I'm so excited about different projects and opportunities and reading different books and learning more about my craft and getting better every single day at certain skills that matter to me, that allow me to express more of that potential, right? So that's what productivity is for me. And productivity for me is about living the life that matters, living a meaningful life. And that for me means feeling like you are that piece of the puzzle without which this bigger picture of our world isn't possible. And a couple of days ago, I made a post on my Instagram and you can check it out. And there I posted a picture of myself and also a text that I want to be the kind of person that when you leave the conversation, you feel like the world can be better and you are an essential part of making it so. So I'm very big on meaning in life and doing things that matter and feeling like our lives matter. And I truly believe that each and every single person have a unique role to play. I believe all human beings are like cells in the body, that each cell is born to be a part of bigger purpose, bigger process, and each cell is born to serve something, not just to be there, but to actually serve a bigger purpose. And that's what productivity is for me, serving that bigger purpose better. And then, of course, on the podcast, well, actually, the host, Laura, she asked me to prepare a little bit for the podcast and answer certain questions like, what are your tools for productivity? And we didn't talk much about these specific tools that I'm going to share with you today. But I decided, because I prepared for that podcast, and I realized how important and actually unorthodox these productivity tools are. A lot of people that I talked with about productivity, think of productivity tools as some sort of apps. And yes, apps do have a role to play in this. But before that, productivity and tools for me are something different. most of them are about organizing my thinking, my decision making, and my environment where I live, even where I work, and my life in a way that makes a lot of those productivity apps obsolete and not needed. I believe that a lot of productivity apps actually are dealing with the mass that we don't address in our minds, in our brain, in our lives. Like, we don't design our life well enough. We don't think deep enough about what things are meaningful in our life, what things are necessary, what things are just noise, and we should eliminate them. If we think deeper about that, and that's what I actually am learning from different productivity experts, like Tim Ferriss, for example, he always talks a lot about a better way of thinking, a better way of making decisions. Because when you practice that, like 80-20 rule or Pareto principle, I'm reading an updated book on that, actually. When you think about that, when you learn how to think better, make better decisions, simplify everything you do, then again, a lot of those complex apps and systems are no longer needed, because everything is kind of flowing in your life. I'm gonna explain a little bit more what it means through the tools. I always find that it's easier for me to explain complex thinking that is in my head, that very often messy, through different toolkits and examples, and that brings back the point. And plus, it's something that you can use to get more of that productivity, to express more of that genius and your uniqueness and your potential in this world, to serve that bigger picture or purpose that we are all a part of. So 5 productivity tools that serve me every single day. And because of these tools, folks, and again, I'm learning from the best productivity experts, and I always find common themes about how they think, how they make decisions, how they organize their life. So productivity tool number 1 is actually from Tim Ferriss, even though I don't know if I started using it before or after, but definitely after his latest post about 30 things that Tim wished he knew before 30 or in his 20s. So the post you can find on Tim Ferriss' Instagram. But one thing was about productivity there. I believe it was one of the first things, and it was the best productivity app is already on your phone. It's called airplane mode. And so my first productivity tool is exactly that. Well, not airplane mode, but which I use several times throughout the day. I use my phone for social media, replying to messages only a few times a day. And the rest of it, sometimes it's my phone is in airplane mode, sometimes it's not, but there are no notifications ever. And if I'm expecting a call, I will turn on the sound only for the calls. If I don't, I just turn off all of the sounds and actually hide my phone under the blanket somewhere, so my brain isn't triggered to pick up that phone and check it. Our brain, folks, is it's very sensitive to triggers or prompts or those things in your environment that you see, and there is almost instantly an association happening in your brain that this item is for doing that. So if you have your workout clothing, for example, out in your environment, and we're going to talk about environment more today, if you see that workout clothing, you're going to start thinking about working out, and you're more likely to take action. So the same goes for your phone. If you see your phone, you think about what you do with that phone, and you're more likely to check it and go down the rabbit hole of watching videos or talking on WhatsApp. There are so many also groups. It's like it's social media in itself without any content. But anyhow, tool number 1 for productivity for me is strict phone policy. I use it only at certain times. My phone doesn't have any notifications. It doesn't make any sounds. When I'm about to pick up my phone, I always ask myself, what are you going to do there? Because if I don't have that intentionality and I'm just going to pick it up because it's there, then I'm most likely gonna just waste my time. And that's not something I wanna do with my time on this planet. I'm very aware of the fact that, the clock is ticking for all of us, and I wanna create as much meaning and in my life as possible. So strict phone policy is one of those productivity tools. Most of the time my phone is without any notifications, it's out for sure, but most of it is also in airplane mode, and it's also hidden, so my brain doesn't even think about picking it up. Tool number 2 is scheduling everything. And by scheduling everything, I mean everything. My workouts, my food, my social interactions, my leisure, of course, my work and meetings and all of these things, my reading. Every week at the beginning of the week, for example, I decided my priorities on things that I'm going to do, meetings. I'm putting it all first in my notebook. That is sort of calendar and appointment tool. But then also what's needed to be have notifications, etc. I put it in my Google Calendar, so I have notifications and I never forget to, for example, prepare for the meeting or show up for the call, etc. So schedule everything. And why do you want to do that? Because then you don't worry about forgetting. You don't think about should you do this and when should you do that, like when and where should you work out, when and where should you eat, when should you go shopping, when should you go out and do your social life. You make decisions once and you put it all in your scheduler, and then again you're not worried. And that not worrying piece, freeing your cognitive resources, will allow you to do more work, to be more productive, and not think about unrelated to your task stuff. It's a very effective productivity technique when you schedule everything and you take it out of your mind and you don't think about it all the time and worrying about not forgetting. So scheduling everything based on priorities. That's why it's important, to have this top-down approach. Okay, what is important for me this week? What are 3 to 5 things that I'm going to be working, like 3 to 5 results that I'm going to be working on this week? Okay, what are the actions I need to schedule to make sure that I fulfill on those goals, or get as close as possible to my objectives. And then you schedule everything. And then when the time comes, you see it on the calendar, like when it's 7 p.m., I'm reading my book and I don't negotiate. I'm not thinking, what should I do? Because also at night, you're usually tired. But I notice if I put things on my schedule, no matter how tired I am, I'm already committed, and I sit down and I read my book. Scheduling my sleep time, also the same thing. I might feel or not feel like sleeping, but because it's on my schedule, I have my good quality sleep, so the next day I'm as productive as I possibly can be. So scheduling is such a underappreciated tool. But I think what people don't realize is that they need scheduling in their personal lives, personal development as well. Like people schedule things like work or meetings, but they don't schedule their personal time all that well. And that's why they end up not using it as productively. Or for me, again, productivity is all about meaningful usage of time. And so a lot of people, they come to an evening and they're already tired, fatigued, exhausted, and they don't have anything on their personal schedule, on their personal calendar. And so they end up just watching some stupid show that they don't even like that much, just because their mind doesn't want to make any decisions at this point. So scheduling, such again an important productivity tool, and not just again for your work, but also for everything that has to do with your personal life development, your leisure, your studies. So scheduling, my tool, productivity tool number 2. Productivity tool number 3, have a system of capturing your experience, your knowledge, your thinking, It's not the same as scheduling, because capturing means if you read a book and you know you're gonna learn something and you know you're gonna wanna write things down. So have a system of easy capture. For me, it's Evernote. It's actually Notepad on my phone because it's super easy. And so every day I put stuff in there. And then I take a couple of, usually like 5 minutes at the end of the day, and I use Evernote and I put stuff into different notes with certain subjects and themes. So everything that I'm learning, everything also that I'm thinking, ideas I'm having, I'm capturing it through my phone, through Evernote app. Look it up. I like it just because the way it's organized and because you can synchronize your notes across different platforms and devices. And then media files, things like videos, pictures. I have different folders on my Google Drive, and my Google Drive is also available on all devices. On my tablet, on my phone, on my computer, I put everything in different folders, and I use specific system for that that you can find in the book Building Your Second Brain by Tiago Forte. So Building Your Second Brain by Tiago Forte. He actually has a second book that I'm going to read, and it's all about organizing your life into projects, into areas of improvement, into archives, and there is another category. All it means, have a system to organize your thinking, your ideas, your knowledge and experience. A simple system that is optimized for extraction, for search, not for easiness of capture. Why does it matter? Because at the end of the day, what you want to do with that knowledge, experience, and your thinking captured is you want to extract it for your future projects. When you want to review stuff, when you want to find, some notes and some ideas that are related to your new project that, like for example, when I read my books and I make my notes, at some point I want to refer back to them so I could use them in my work. Like for example, creating systems of self-improvement for high performance for my clients. I draw resources from many different books that I've read over the years. That's where I also find Kindle on my phone very useful, because there I have all of my notes and I can copy them and capture them in Evernote also very easily. And it's very important for productivity to have capturing a very well-designed system like that, because you don't want to be spending 5-10 minutes every time you need to search for something. You kind of want to have easy to search, to extract information system that allows you to use the experience, the thinking that you've accumulated in your project, building your unique value and offer, and just any content that you create for your work and personal life. If you base it on your personal knowledge and experience database, it's going to be so richer and so much different that anyone else could create. But again, for productivity, it matters to have an effective for extraction and search system, not just, I put my stuff there. Can you actually search it and find things when you need them, specific things? So that is a very, it's a productivity tool, having a system of capturing and extracting your knowledge. That tool, a lot of systems, Notion, Asana, like all of these apps, they all have this capability to allow you to do so. But you can also organize your own system. Just have a system, again, that is effective, that is easy to use for extraction and search. And instead of wasting your time recreating the content or always searching for things, even your email. Do you know how to easily find things in your email that you need for certain projects? Right? It's very important and might be such a time waster if you don't have a system of capturing your own knowledge. And plus another point or another goal that it serves is it allows you to not worry and not feel like your brain is overwhelmed. You have operating memory, this working memory, what they call. And if you always have thoughts in your head and you don't capture it anywhere else, you don't put it somewhere else, and then you don't free up that working memory, and you'll feel like you're already overwhelmed, like your head is literally stuffed, like your cup is full and you can't pour anything in it. So you need to free up that as often as possible if you want to have the capacity to think deeper, better, and learn effectively. So that's a very powerful productivity tool, and it can be implemented in so many different ways. But the idea is to have a system of capturing your thoughts, your ideas, optimize your knowledge, your experience, also optimize for extraction and search, not for just, it's easy to put it there. No, it also has to be optimized for search and extraction. Tool number 4 is outsourcing your decisions to your environment. What it basically means, make things you want to do easy in your house, in your environment, wherever you spend your time, and make things that you don't want to do, that you want to stop doing, as hard as possible. So that means you already outsourcing your decisions to your environment, because our brain is very lazy and it always wants to do the easiest thing. Now, if you consciously, intentionally design your environment so the things that work for better you are easy and simple and defaults, easy accessible, you can see them, they're obvious, then you're not going to be spending time on like, oh, I shouldn't do this, or I should stop eating cookies. Maybe you shouldn't keep cookies in your house in the first place, right? Or if you want to start drinking less, maybe you should remove all the alcohol from your house. If you want to work out more, maybe you should put the workout clothing and your gym bag, right, either in your car or by your door, so it's easy to grab. If you want to start eating healthier, eliminate again all the junk from your fridge and make fruit and vegetables super easy to eat. Like if you're the kind of person who doesn't like cooking, then have it all pre-cut, get like salad mixes, make things you want to do as easy as possible, and make your environment. It's like, Alex Hormozy, in his one of the episodes of his podcast, The Game, he talks about his personal productivity and how he uses his environment to, first of all, make things simple and fast, of course, but then also to never think about not forgetting. Like if he needs to take his supplements, he puts it right where he drinks his water. And so when he drinks his water, he takes his supplement. No thinking needed. Like a lot of my clients tell me, oh, I forget to take my supplements. I'm like, where are your supplements? They gotta be where you drink your water, where you have your coffee, where you have your tea, where you have your breakfast. So they're super easy to just grab, and they almost stare at you like, take me. That's in the big picture of your day. These small things will matter a lot, like how easy things that you want to do, that you don't want to forget, how easy and accessible they are. And then again, things that you want to stop doing, they should be out of sight, out of mind, out of reach, difficult. If you don't want to order delivery food, then they remove all the apps from your phone. And that is also, it's going to eat up so much of your thinking. And sometimes you sit and you think about what should I have like for dinner, for if you have all the food for your dinner already prepared and your fridge is stocked up and your environment is already easy or optimized for that specific dinner, then you're not going to be thinking. So outsource your decisions to your environment. That will save you a lot of time on those, mundane daily things and habits that you do or you want to start doing or you want to stop doing. And then fifth, and definitely not the least, because I don't know if you can relate to that experience, but sometimes there is like a little small thing, little small decision, like should I go checking out apartments in the afternoon or a late evening or maybe early afternoon, and you like just think when is the best things to do, my appointments or certain planning, and this small like planning thing will take up like 20 minutes of your time, and how many of those can be in your day? So the tool number 5 is making decisions once and until further notice. Don't think about that. There's always a better way to do certain things, but if you just make decisions in advance and stick with the good enough options, like to give you an example, I only buy books on Saturdays. I only decide what I'm going to read on Saturdays because my mind, for example, I always think about, there is this book I want to read and that book I want to read. What should I read? What should I study? What should I learn this week? So instead of spreading this decision making all over the place, I made decisions once in my life that every Saturday I'm going to decide what I'm going to read the upcoming week. And then I eliminate all the decision making about that for the rest of the week. Now, the decision might not be perfect, but it saves me a ton of time that I dedicate to meaningful pursuit, and that's what matters. The same with simple things like food. I decide what I eat once, usually a month. Okay, I'm gonna have lunch. No, I actually don't have lunch. I'm gonna have breakfast. I'm gonna have dinner. And for lunch, for snack, I'm going to have a couple of pieces of fruit. Like literally, I make a decision, a couple of pieces of fruit, meaning couple fruit, like a pear. Today I'm going to have and a guava, right? I know what I'm going to have for breakfast. I made a decision a couple of months ago. It still works. I'm going to have my yogurt. I'm going to have my blueberries, eggs, nuts and seeds, a little bit of chocolate. And that's it. Dinner. It's some green vegetables, some colorful vegetables, some meat, fish, whatever protein I'm having. And I either have for my carbohydrate sweet potatoes or similar stuff, or beans. And I use curry spice because it's my favorite spice. I don't feel like changing it. And I made these decisions and I never think about food. If somebody offers me some food or anything like that, I'm like, I'm already good. If somebody invites me for dinner, I already also made these decisions. I don't negotiate about my workouts because I decided I'm going to work out once a week and I'm going to do it on my break. I don't negotiate my walks in the morning because I decided they are important enough for my productivity and well-being, and I'm going to do that. I decided on my sleep time a long time ago, and it works for me and it makes me feel the best, the most productive and prolific I can possibly be. And so I just stick with that. Making decisions and at once and not negotiating. Like when I do my social life, do I go out during the week or not? What do I say yes to? What do I say no to? What kind of people I date or I don't date? Deciding all of these things in advance will save you a ton of time, decisions, emotional roller coaster. It will just free up so much of your mental space, your time, your energy for things that are actually meaningful to you. And that's about it. These are my main productivity tools, and most of them have nothing to do with apps and technology. It's just a better way of thinking about life, making decisions, organizing things in my life. And these systems are still not perfect. Like I need to get better at actually organizing my own system of capturing knowledge, optimized for extraction. So that's a project for the upcoming week. I decided to dial it in according to the best practices in the industry, according to the best productivity experts. So that for me is an area of improvement. But other than that, the better I am actually with strict phone policy, outsourcing decisions to environment, making decisions once in advance and not negotiating with myself every single day about my routines. Scheduling everything, and I mean everything, my leisure and my self-development, including all of these tools are game-changing, life-changing, and I personally don't know how people survive without them. When I see people compulsively checking their phones or making all these decisions about their foods and workouts and whether they should go out with this person or not, what makeup they should wear, I'm like, make a decision once and have it for most of the occasions. Do you think Alex Hormozy, like, it's a coincidence that he wears the same kind of stuff and doesn't think about his wardrobe much, or Steve Jobs, or a lot of entrepreneurs you admire? Do you think it's a coincidence that they are not fashion icons and they don't think about their, like, again, wardrobe and makeup, etc. all the time? The more you simplify your life, like all these mundane things, the more productive you're going to be with things that make your life meaningful. And that is the message of today, folks. You want to use all these tools to make the mundane, the unimportant, the habitual take as little of your mind space, a little of your time, as little as possible of your emotional resource, as little of your time as possible, so you could dedicate as much of that time and potential as possible to things that at the end of the day, week, months, year, at the end of your life, will add to that feeling that your life mattered and you lived it meaningfully and intentionally and with purpose. So let me recap the tools that I'm using, and I'm going to let you go to enjoy your Monday, enjoy your week, whatever that day of the week is, and to be as productive as you possibly can be. By the way, if you heard a tool, if you learned about a tool that you believe is missing in your life, then what do? You write down your thoughts right after you finish listening to this podcast. Maybe if you're in the car, stop the car and just make a note in your phone if you don't have, like a notebook or anything like that. And schedule at the time when you're going to work on that specific thing. If you don't schedule it, it's not going to happen. Your life is not magically going to become free of everything and except for that thing. So capture your thoughts, your ideas, the thing that you want to work on, and put the time in your calendar with a reminder. Better if it's something like Google Calendar, whatever calendar you use, something that will remind you that at this time, on this day, you're going to work on this thing. In our busy lives, where everything is competing for our attention, that's the only way you can make things happen. So to recap my top 5 productivity tools. Strict phone policy. Again, as Tim Ferriss said in his things I should know, things I wished I knew when in my 20s. The best productivity tool is already on your phone. It's called airplane mode. But for me, it's just having a policy around my phone. Number 2, schedule everything. And by everything, I mean not just your work, but also your leisure, your studies, especially for the hours when you feel the least productive and you're usually tired. That's when your brain starts to make shortcuts and you will not do your best. You will do your worst. So schedule everything to stick with your also self-development and personal goals. Number 3, have a system of capturing your knowledge, your experience, your ideas, your thoughts, a system that is optimized for search and extraction so you can actually use that knowledge in your future projects. Number 3, outsource decisions to your environment. That is easier to say. Organize your place so all the things you want to do are super easily accessible and obvious, and you don't need to work for them. Help make your environment your support environment, so it helps you to do your best without even thinking about that. And number 5, make decisions once, make decisions in advance. What you eat, when you eat it, when you work out, when you work, when you sleep, when you go on dates, when you go and buy stuff, when you read, when you do your personal development. do as many of this decision making as possible in advance. Stick with it, and you'll have all of a sudden this feeling that you actually have so much time to do all the stuff that all the meaningful stuff, all the stuff that matters that you never seem to have time for. This is my top 5 productivity tools. If you have anything to share of your own, please do so either via email, angela@brainbreakthroughcoach.com, or on my Instagram, Angela Brain Coach, Angela Brain Coach. I'm also on Threads. And folks, if there is only one thing I could ask for all of you, if you're learning new things, if you're getting value from this podcast, then please do share or review us on iTunes or Spotify or Stitcher or Podcast Addict, wherever you listen to this podcast. Please review, rate, and of course, share this podcast with other change agents, change makers, mission, purpose-driven people who want to be their most productive self, to live a meaningful life that matters. And that being said, have an awesome week, have an awesome day, stay tuned, and I'll talk to you very soon.